Ladies and gentlemen, 2020 is upon us. We are entering a new decade. We are entering a new gaming generation in terms of the new consoles that are releasing in the holiday of 2020. And I want to tell you guys about my expectations and my thoughts going into both of these things in this video. But before we get into it, I want to thank today's sponsor. Guys, this is something a little bit different. This is a company by the name of Dogmight Games, who specialize in what they call Valhalla screens. They are DM screens for tabletop RPGs such as Dungeons and Dragons, which is specifically what I play. We're playing a 5th edition homebrew campaign that I've been running off and on for the last 2 years with my group of friends. I know I don't talk about RPGs and stuff like that, but I am a huge Dungeons and Dragons nerd. And when I saw these guys on Critical Role, which is one of it's the biggest Dungeons and Dragons live stream ever. When I saw them on there, I was like, I gotta get me one of these screens. I reached out, I wanted to buy one with a whole bunch of accessories, and they came back and they checked out the channel. They were like, we love what you're doing. We wanted to send you some product. Guys, this is probably one of my favorite sponsors of all time. They sent me a DM screen. You guys are seeing a couple of pictures here. I wish the room lighting was better so I could get you some awesome video, but we're playing this on a custom built table that my friend built with a TV in the middle where we display all of our battle maps on when we play. And this custom built Valhalla DM screen just adds to the intensity and the flavor of the room. I am so fucking happy that this sponsorship happened. If you guys want to go to their website, if you are into tabletop RPGs and Dungeons and Dragons, go to their website and you can literally use the link in the description below and in the top pinned comment for 20% off of all of their stuff. I'm going to be buying some more accessories for my screen with my link, and I gotta say, man, the build quality is incredible. They did such a good job. They are such awesome people, and they're just trying to get their name out there, and I am so happy that this sponsorship happened. So shout out to Dogmight for the sponsor. Now, let's get into it. So when you really peel back and look at what's going on in the industry now, I think this decade and this generation is going to be about the building blocks. We saw games, in terms of the games that I cover on this channel, games like Escape from Tarkov, Star Citizen, even games like Squad, we all saw some of their biggest patches of all time hit last year. And that put those games in a spot, all of them, in a spot to be now showcased on a grander scale and now start the actual development process of getting content. Escape from Tarkov is in a spot now that I think it can, well, and obviously we saw it on Twitch, it can be showed off in a bigger light to a broader audience, and people will be receptive to that, and it's not in such a broken, buggy state. Star Citizen, same way. Squad, same way. I think now, going into 2020, going into this new decade, we're starting to now see the building blocks placed. Now let's see where they take it. And I think you could apply that mentality to a lot of games. We saw a lot of huge game-changing patches last year, and even going down to games like Scum and DayZ. A lot of people are now playing these games more than ever, when, 2 years ago, we were looking at the state of these games being like, are they gonna survive the year? Now we see people playing these games more often than ever, which is a good thing. This is the first time in a long time I'm looking at my game library and going, dude, I want to go back and play that. I want to go back and play this. I want to go back and try that and see how well, they've updated it and see how well the game is running now. And I just wanted, it's weird. The future is actually kind of looking backwards to see just how far these games have come and giving them second, third, and fourth chances. You guys look at World War III. I dropped a video like 3 or 4 days ago. People are still waiting for that game to put those building blocks in, and I think 2020 is the year that all of these games begin to start building off of that foundation that they have been building for the last few years. And then, like I said, at the end of this year, from like quarter 3, quarter 4 of 2019, they drop bombs, major patches that put them in a position to really take advantage of the eyes that are looking on them in 2020. In terms of AAA, I don't have a lot of hope. I have high expectations still, but in the back of my mind, I know that most developers that are releasing AAA stuff are so disconnected from what their core audience wants. We saw it with Ghost Recon. I always go back to Anthem. Ghost Recon is a prime example of why my expectations are so high for franchises that I love, but why my hope and why my like realistic outlook is just so low. And what I want to see moving forward from developers and studios like Ubisoft and EA and hell, even Activision. I want to just see them deliver on good experiences. You guys can argue all day about Modern Warfare and if it's good or not. I personally think Modern Warfare was a step in the right direction for where Call of Duty was heading for years and years. You guys can call it a camp fest, you can say it's trash, whatever the case is. It was much better than Infinite Warfare and Advanced Warfare and all of these jetpack boosting. They're dialing it back in and trying to touch on what their community actually wants, which is incredibly tough to do when you have a fan base as large as Call of Duty. But even looking at Battlefield, the rumor is Battlefield is coming back in 2021 and it's going to be a modern game. It was potentially going to be a Bad Company game. So you could tell that these companies are at least trying to get back on the pulse, which is a good thing. We just need to see them execute it, while at the same time, and I know this is impossible, but they need to lower their expectations in terms of what makes a successful game and what doesn't. When I hear the fact that Battlefield sold like 8 million copies in the first month and EA was just disappointed as hell with that, and they considered it not necessarily a flop, but they considered it a failure in terms of hitting sales goals. 8 million copies. Think about how many copies and how many players that is. And it's a failure to them in their eyes. Their shareholders are disappointed. We need to burst this bubble, because once that bubble bursts, then you're going to have people creating games for the sake of creating games. And hopefully we see these companies start to take risks and start to branch out and build off new IPs that could potentially lead to multi-million-dollar franchises. Even though it's indie, and even though I still look at them as like a AAA quality studio, we have CD Projekt Red coming out with Cyberpunk in 2020, which I am so over the moon excited for. They are the ones that are taking risks. They're the ones that are creating these massive worlds with The Witcher and Cyberpunk, and they're going into these IPs that we don't really get a lot of nowadays. You know, Cyberpunk is so brand new in terms of the setting and the narrative and what the game is going to deliver, that I think that's why everybody is so excited for it. And obviously it's being made by a studio that believes in quality fucking products, and they believe in their customer. I want to see new franchises be built, because obviously Cyberpunk is going to be a huge franchise. If they want to make a sequel to that, people are going to eat it up. Obviously, if the games are good, which I'm pretty fucking sure it's going to be good. If Cyberpunk fails, if it flops, then I have no hope at all for the gaming industry anymore. But what I want to see is just more of these big studios investing in new IPs with good attachment, with narrative-driven stories. And fucking PlayStation, I want them to start investing again in multiplayer. PlayStation hasn't had a multiplayer exclusive banger hit in fucking years. I would say in probably almost a decade. If you consider Killzone to be the banger exclusive, the last Killzone game came out fucking 7 years ago. Mag came out a decade ago. Warhawk came out, what, 13, 14 years ago? SOCOM, the last SOCOM was what, 2011? Like, we haven't had a multiplayer PlayStation exclusive banger of a game that can rival the likes of a Halo or a Gears of War. We haven't had that in years. I want to see PlayStation start to invest more in that multiplayer space, and they've already come out and said that they are beginning to do that already for the next generation, which excites me. That's something that I want to see. I want to see what they got cooking. You know, because they have, in my opinion, some of the best single-player, narrative-driven games and IPs, you know, in comparison to everybody else. They're doing it right. It seems like every generation they just do something different. Like PS3 was multiplayer, PS2 was a nice blend, and the PS4 was just complete single-player domination. I want to see a blend again. I want to see the PS5 go back to its PS2 roots in terms of that 360-degree gaming experience for everybody, and I hope they can pull it off. I think at this point, going into this generation, my expectations are at an all-time high, but my realistic view on all of the things that we get in this industry are at an all-time low. Monetization practices, I hope, shift for the better. I think Call of Duty doing what they did with the Battle Pass, I think that's a nice first step And I think a lot of people moving away from loot boxes and stuff, I think they're starting to really realize that they can make money if they make a good product and they have a good monetization system in place. I think that's the main takeaway that these companies have taken from this generation. Games as a service, I want to see go away unless you're going to make a game come out the gate a good product, which never happens. Truth be told, when it comes to the indie development scene and when it comes to AAA, I just want everything to be better. I want less trash out there in the indie scene, which I know is not going to happen. I want less predatory microtransaction systems in the AAA space, which at this point I can't really say is not going to happen, but it's just very unlikely. They will fuck us in the end is usually the mindset there. But I just want things to be better. I want better experiences for everybody. I want Sony to start focusing on multiplayer again. I want Xbox to start focusing on games. I think the big takeaway for Microsoft this generation going into the Xbox Series X is that they need to make games. They've hired a bunch of studios, and I think they're going to hopefully, God, I am hoping that they blow our socks off at E3. If Xbox has a bad E3 this go around, it's gonna be rough for them, man, and it already is. You know, they're starting to shift their focus from being the console and PC to being like the all-in-one, you know, all-around Game Pass. And I think Game Pass is one of the best deals a gamer can get if you're on a budget or if you have an Xbox or a PC. Shit, that's a good deal. And they're starting to make that ecosystem all-in-one, which I'm a fan of. Halo coming to Steam, I think is a good move. I think they're starting to realize that there's an untapped market of PC players that don't fuck with your Xbox launchers and all of that stuff. And if you just bring us the games on the launchers we want, you could make a fuck ton of money. I think they're starting to realize that. And hopefully this generation goes better than the last. And I want to know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. I was kind of just rambling there and ranting a little bit because I have a lot of thoughts, and I just want this industry to be better. I want it to be healthier. I don't want it to be built up on a stack of cards. You know, I just want good games that are built well and perform well with developers who don't fuck over their customers. Like, that's all we want. And for the largest, you know, media and entertainment platform of all time, gaming is, you know, trumping everybody. We should have high expectations of the people that are providing us with this entertainment, because we are paying for it in droves and we are spending billions of dollars a year. And I just think we should get what we fucking pay for. My name is Bigfry. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like on it. And guys, please go check out the sponsor. Go check out Dogmight, man. They're a great company. They hooked me up pretty good. And I think if you guys are into Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop RPGs in general, I think you guys can find some pretty cool stuff over there. Appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one.